Babysitters. What were the weirdest rules parents asked you to follow? When I was 13, I got my first babysitting gig with the neighbors' kids. They were a sweet family, and I was pretty excited to earn some money and prove I could handle it. Their house felt huge and a little old-fashioned, but cozy. Before they left, the parents went over a long list of rules. What shows the kids could watch, snacks I was allowed to give them, bedtime routines, all the usual stuff. Just as they were about to head out, the mom pulled me aside and whispered, "Don't go into the basement." She said it quietly, like it was a serious secret. I nodded, trying not to look too freaked out. I was 13, and my brain immediately jumped to all those scary movies with creepy basements and monsters lurking down there. I figured I'd just avoid that door the entire night. After getting the kids settled for bed, which was its own challenge since the oldest was 8 and the youngest was 4, I was about to relax when I heard a faint noise coming from the basement door. It was a sort of whimpering sound mixed with this weird, almost sad-sounding laughter. My heart jumped, but I tried to tell myself it was just the house settling or maybe the wind. Then I heard a louder noise, like something heavy falling down the stairs. The noise was unmistakable. Someone or something was definitely down there. I froze for a moment, then summoned what must have been either courage or stupidity, and slowly crept over to the basement door. I pressed my ear against it, trying to figure out what was going on. The sounds grew louder. The whimpering turned into a low, mournful bleating. That's when I realized it wasn't a person at all. I cautiously cracked the door open and peeked down just a few steps. And there he was, a goat, just standing there on the stairs, looking up at me with big eyes and bleating like he was the most distressed thing on earth. I jumped back, startled as hell. The goat's bleating got louder and more urgent. Somehow, that scared me more than I expected. I hurried back upstairs, heart pounding, and tried to distract myself by turning on the TV. Of course, the goat's yelling didn't stop. It was loud enough to wake up the kids. The oldest girl shuffled out of her room, rubbing her eyes. She looked at me with a smirk and said, "Did you open the door to the basement?" I admitted I did, still a little shaky. She smiled and said, "Carlos always yells like that when you open the door because he thinks you're going to feed him." I stared at her in disbelief. Carlos? The goat's name is Carlos? She nodded like it was the most normal thing in the world. Had she told me that before I went down there, I probably would have had a full-on panic attack, imagining some poor person trapped in the basement yelling for food. We all started laughing, and the tension finally broke. When the parents came back, I told them the whole story, and the mom nearly died laughing. Apparently, they'd been repairing the goat pen and had to keep Carlos in the basement temporarily. They forgot to warn me about the goat's vocal protest whenever the basement door was opened. That night stuck with me. Every moment of creeping toward the basement door, the strange sounds, and finally meeting Carlos. It's one of those babysitting stories that's equal parts terrifying and hilarious, and I still chuckle thinking about how a goat almost gave me a heart attack.